Rumor has it, no G.I. Joe HasLab funding in 2025. So, longtime G.I. Joe community member It's Chad recently posted a video hinting that he'd seen details of what we can expect as our next G.I. Joe Classified HasLab. So while Chad did the work, I want to go over what was said and give my own personal opinions about it. I'll leave the link to Chad's original video in the description below. Before we jump in though, if you are enjoying what we're doing on the channel, think about clicking that like button and hitting that subscribe button. We do really appreciate your support. Stay to the end of the video and I'll go over more details on that shocker that I left in the intro. So getting into the video, there are basically 4 ideas being kicked around for our next G.I. Joe Classified HasLab. What I'm going to do is personally rank them on my feasibility of which one will get greenlit, and I'll see in 2026. Starting with the most unlikely. Now, a lot of you out there won't like this, but first up is the G.I. Joe Killer Whale. Apparently, this is indeed being discussed as a possible classified project. Now, however, you have to keep something in mind. This is a business. Hasbro is here to make profits, and while I do think fans would enjoy this project, I don't think it will happen just because Hasbro is moving away from taking risks, and this big boy would have a certain amount of risk to it. Can you imagine how big this would have to be in scale with the classified figures? Now, I'm not an insider, but I don't think this will ever get made. What are your thoughts? Actually, if the whale is never produced, will we ever see Cutter make it into classified? What do you think? Next up is the G.I. Joe Havoc. This one I feel may also follow suit to a similar fate as the Killer Whale that I mentioned previously. Now, the interesting thing about this one is there's 2 variations that are being considered. You have the standard A Real American Hero Havoc, then a secondary one that will replace the back end with some sort of troop carrier, which I have to admit is fairly cool, as it's always good when you can add more troops onto a vehicle. I rank this one 3 out of 4 as I don't know what, say, the likability of the community has behind the Havoc. Do people really want cross-country figures? So size and likability are low for this one on my list. Moving along, we have the final 2 possibilities of rumored classified projects, and when it comes down to it, I could see either one of these being our next HasLab, and for different reasons. Taking the second spot would be a G.I. Joe Hammer, but like the Havoc, there's potential variations here. One in the form of a standard A Real American Hero coloring, or maybe a camo print, or what I personally think would win the votes, a hammer done in Night Force deco. Now, the only reason I say that is that the G.I. Joe Classified line already has a fairly decent amount of Night Force figures released, so I think people would really be interested in this. Also, the hammer is a bit more realistic of a design and sort of falls in line with the recent All Striker release, so I feel like this could get a real support from the community. What do you think? Which of the 3 decos would you want as a potential HasLab project? As we move on, based on our leak list, this is what I believe will become our next classified HasLab, the G.I. Joe Snowcat. Now, picture a bigger, bulkier Snowcat with its own variations, either having the more traditional A Real American Hero design, or with that back end using the APC troop carrier option that we first mentioned earlier with the Havoc. So the Snowcat has been my personal HasLab pick for a while, and I think if they did it correctly, it is easily able to gather the support from the community of a more retro-inspired collectors and modern collectors. Sized properly, this could easily go up against the classified Cobra His Tank on the battlefield. And now, since we're talking about Night Force earlier for the hammer, would you be more interested in seeing the traditional white Snowcat, or possibly a Tiger Cat to assist with all of your Tiger Force troops? Let us know your thoughts. So that is the 4 rumors ranked based totally on my own personal opinion, but before you go, let's jump back to that initial statement that I made at the beginning of the video. While we are indeed talking about potential real G.I. Joe Classified HasLab projects, the most interesting tidbit is that this is from 2026. meaning that there will be no classified HasLab being funded in 2025. I think this will take a lot of fans by surprise as we come to expect a HasLab each year. So if this is indeed true, I really do believe whichever of the 4 projects we get, I think they will be stellar, as they will have, like, say, an extra long development time compared to some of the previous releases. Hopefully this means no patches as stretch goals.